So we are into grand final week now, and it's time for my September mock draft. A lot has changed since the August edition. We've seen, obviously, the Bolter in Sullivan Roby. We've seen a lot of change in the first round as well. So again, like last time, I'm going to split this video into two parts. So in order to do the full mock draft, I don't want it to extend out too long in one video. So I'll do the first round in this video, and then in part two, we'll do the rest of the draft. So let's get straight into it. So I've made some adjustments to the way I've done the draft since last time. Last time I traded out the Suns' first round picks, but I've gone and revised the method a little bit this time. So I'll start by mentioning the assumptions I've made in order to complete this mock draft. So the first assumption is that I'm assuming that Geelong win the premiership purely based off the fact that they finished above Brisbane on the ladder. Obviously, that's not a reliable indicator of who wins the premiership, but I think that's just the safest way of doing things without adding too much subjectivity as to my tip. So Geelong have the final pick of the first round, followed by Brisbane, and all the other picks are already locked in with the finals results. The next assumption is that all the clubs have the available list spots to take the players that I've selected for them in this draft, and some of the DVI estimations I haven't done quite precisely because there's so much change that goes into the draft order on draft night when picks are being swallowed up and picks are moving around, so it's really hard to try and gauge what exactly the DVI is doing with all the picks at the moment. So I've just tried estimating. I'm pretty sure most of them are quite reasonable. There aren't any clubs matching, top 5 picks with not enough points. I'm pretty sure all of them are pretty approximately correct. So that's the other, I guess, thing you guys have to keep in mind. And last time I also assumed that clubs would match their bids with their current set of picks and just assume that they get it done. But I've tried to do a few more trades this time around to try and accommodate those and be a bit more precise with the matching of bids. So those are pretty much the assumptions. We'll get straight into the trades now. So as you can see on screen, this is the current draft order. So West Coast have pick 1. They'll get into the compensation picks for the draft. So we'll start with the Eagles' Oscar Allen, who will yield them band 1. So they get pick 2 for Oscar Allen. Then we have the Carlton Blues getting band 1 for Tom De Koning, so that yields them pick 10. Then Essendon get band 2 for Sam Draper, and Carlton get band 2 for Jack Silvani, and then the Giants get band 5 for Jacob Ware, which obviously doesn't affect the first round, but it will be a bit more relevant in the next video. So that's the compensation picks. Brendan Starcevich is also a player who might come into play here, but it's more likely that the Eagles will trade for him. Move into the trades, so we'll start with the first trade being North Melbourne and the Suns. So this was in the last video as well, so North Melbourne trading in to get the Suns pick 6, which was originally tied to Port Adelaide. The Suns get some points for matching their academy players. Trade 2 is the Blues trading out of this year's draft. So in the last video, this was St Kilda trading back to get the Blues pick, but with the new changes to the DVI and new draft changes for bid matching next year, I think the Blues would be more inclined to trade into next year rather than moving back in this year's draft. So I've got them trading with Port Adelaide, who I think could do with another first round pick or even just a first round pick this year since they don't already have one. So they get the TDK compo, which is pick 10, and the Blues get Port Adelaide's future first, which should be pretty high value if we try and guess Port Adelaide's finishing position next year. Trade 3, Melbourne and Adelaide involved in a trade for Christian Petrarca. So obviously there's a lot of water to go under the bridge for Petrarca to get to Adelaide, but for the hypothetical side of this draft, I think this works quite well to get Melbourne back into this draft, Adelaide get out, because I think they'll be willing to trade out to get an established player in or established midfielder. So yeah, Melbourne get a first round pick in this year and then a first round pick next year. Adelaide get Melbourne's future third along with Petrarca. And then trade 4, so the Giants and the Suns. This is just purely for points to get Giants up the order as well. Brisbane and Adelaide again for points as well. Brisbane, Collingwood for points. So Brisbane moving up to get some more points. Collingwood getting more junk picks, as I think their academy players will fall a bit more. And pick trade 7, so Fremantle and Collingwood. So those are the 7 trades that I've completed. Most of them are for bid matching, so I don't think you guys would care too much about those, but we'll get straight into the drafting now. So the Eagles have the first pick of the 2025 National Draft, and I've got them taking Willem Dersma. So a lot of debate from my last video about Dyson Sharp over one of CDT or Dersma. At least for Dersma, I think Sharp is very inferior as a prospect. When you think about drafting, I think we have to remember that it's all about projecting the player's ceiling and I guess how likely they are to reach that ceiling. That's where it becomes a bit more subjective, but I think Dersma is a lot more likely to become a higher quality player than Sharp. I think Sharp's ceiling is quite limited, and he's got that obviously proven production at under 18s level, but where is his ceiling? Like, which player can you compare him to that is a genuine A grader of the competition? I think pick 1 should be reserved for players that you think have a pretty decent chance of becoming an A grade star of the competition. No matter what your needs are, no matter what position you are, I think just take the best available player at pick 1, and I think in this draft that is Willem Dersma. At pick 2, I have the Eagles bidding on Gold Coast's Zeke Uland. So obviously the Suns will match this bid, but I think the Eagles could really do with an outside player like Uland who has laser-like foot skills and the ability to accumulate as well and play in several positions. But yeah, the Suns take him, so the Eagles follow up with their own pick on Cooper Duff-Tytler. So I've been pretty strong for the past 2 to 3 months that I think Dersma and Duff-Tytler are the 2 standout players in this year's crop, and that stance hasn't changed. I think Dersma was the guy with the ceiling. Duff-Tytler could be a generational ruck, which I think a lot of people would disagree with, but I think with the new ruck rules coming in, benefiting the jumping ruckman, and then, just favouring the more mobile ruckman, I think Duff-Tytler has the skills to be able to live up to that role. And recently he's also shown that he can play as a key forward. He had some really strong performances in the Talent League as a key forward, and even in the VFL for the Bombers VFL side. So I think Duff-Tytler can come into the Eagles. Whether they think he's ready for the ruck or not, that doesn't really matter because he can just play forward. So I think if you just develop him the way he should on the current trajectory, I think he can become an A-grade ruckman in the AFL with the new rules. So I've got the Eagles taking him, obviously addressing a huge need as well in the ruck. Richmond are up next, and I've got them taking Josh Lindsay. So Lindsay's hype has kind of died down the past, I guess, month or so, but I think he's still the best ball user in this pool, and I think the Tigers could do with a few more good ball users. So I think Lindsay could slot in round 1 off a half-back line or even on the wing. If you think about the role Xavier Lindsay played last year for the D's, he started on the outside, played a bit of half-back as well. I think Josh Lindsay can also do quite a similar role at AFL level as well. So he's a ready-made prospect with a pretty huge ceiling as well, given the fact that he hasn't played much in the midfield yet. So I think if you build his body up and then try and leverage his foot skills in the midfield, he can become an extremely damaging AFL player. So with their second pick, the Tigers take Gold Coast's Dylan Patterson. So they obviously bid on him, and the Suns match. So yeah, I think Patterson is one of my favourite prospects in this draft. I think he's got a really nice inside-outside balance and really suits the modern game. Has a strong body, slots in round 1 at most clubs. Probably not the Suns given their midfield depth. But yeah, Patterson, transition mid, really nice skills as well. So I've got the Suns taking him. And then the Tigers bid on Brisbane's Daniel Annable. So leader, really good accumulator at all levels. He's shown over the past couple of months, whether it's at VFL or the Champs or under 18s. he can accumulate at any level. Just has those footy smarts, and obviously has the intangible leadership as well. So he's probably the best player in the pool in terms of quality of intangibles. But then the Richmond Tigers take their own pick, and this is the Bolter Sullivan Roby. So Roby was not in my last mock draft because I think I filmed that the day before he broke out in that CTL performance. So yeah, that was a pretty like after I released that video, I was like, I'm gonna get so much hate for this, but I've got him now, pick 7. I think Roby is just one of the most, I think, perfect transition mids you can have. He's 192 centimeters. He gets back into defense. He obviously attacks. He can rest forward. He has good skills. He bursts out of stoppages, wins clearances. You can't really fault much of any of his game, and I honestly wouldn't even be surprised if the Eagles considered him at pick 1 or 2. But I just don't think he has the runs on the board yet, especially since he didn't play champs. So that's what I think restricts him from being amongst that pure top, I guess, 4 to 5 players. So, but yeah, I think if the team that takes Roby, they're going to have a massively high ceiling player. Whether he gets that ceiling, who knows? But yeah, I think it's definitely a risk worth taking. It definitely has Oliver type traits, especially with the way he's bolted up the order with a good finish to the season. So yeah, I think the Tigers would be really happy to pair him up with the big body of Smiley as well, and then Lawler. So yeah, Roby to the Tigers I think is a perfect fit. So I think the Bombers are a team that would also love Roby, but with him off the board, they still have back-to-back picks, and I've got them taking Jacob Farrow. So I think I had the Bombers taking him in the last draft as well. I just think Farrow's ball use would really complement Essendon's side really well. He might start his career at half-back, but I think he can also start on a wing as well. He has a lot of Jordan Dawson type traits, so he's good overhead. He's got obviously a really nice left boot, quite tall as well at 189 centimeters, and he's got a pretty decent, I guess, build as well. He's like quite strong, so yeah, he definitely projects to be Jordan Dawson 2.0, and if he can eventually graduate into the midfield, I think he gives Essendon that big body, and then also those elite skills that they might lose if Zach Merritt actually leaves the Bombers. So with their current upcoming crop, they've got Caldwell, Durham, etc., who aren't the best users. They're really good at clearance, and Farrow adds that extra class. So the Bombers, with their second consecutive pick, take Oliver Greaves. So Greaves had a really strong finish to the Coates Talent League. He obviously kicked the 4 goals in the prelim final, had like high 20s, 30 touches, something like that. So I think he's the big body mid that would really complement Essendon's midfield. So you have Greaves as the inside bull, Farrow as the more classy ball user, and then Durham, Caldwell as a kind of the guys who can also rotate on half forward as well and provide an offensive element. But yeah, I think Greaves is probably just a replacement or an upgrade on Setterfield. So I think if Setterfield is still out of contract, so I think Greaves just comes in and slots straight into that role. I think he's ready-made for AFL, but could even start in the forward line if he doesn't fit into the midfield yet. So North Melbourne up next with the pick that they traded in for, and I've got them taking Xavier Taylor. So I had this pick in the last draft as well, and I think since then Taylor has only risen in draft stock. So he obviously won the best on ground medal in the CTL final. Had like 15 marks, 25 disposals, which is quite ridiculous for a third tall defender. So yeah, he obviously is a really aggressive player, but I think the really impressive side of his game is the fact that he can defend really well as well. When you have a key defender who can attack the way he does and also completely just eliminate his player out of the game, I think it's a really valuable asset. And for a defense like North Melbourne's, I think Taylor just provides a really nice balance. I feel like a lot of North Melbourne's defenders are either really attacking or just completely locked down and don't have any sort of offensive side. Like you think about Toby Pink, who's completely locked down, and then Combin's really attacking, doesn't really defend as well, even though he did improve a little bit this year. And then you've got like Caleb Daniel, Colby McKercher, who also arguably don't really defend as well. So if you have Taylor there as a guy who can attack and defend. I think it adds a really balanced player to the backline. St Kilda are up next with their next pick. I don't know if St Kilda will hold this by the draft because they have so many targets, and I think 7 could be used to trade for Flanders if he nominates St Kilda. But for now, I've got St Kilda holding this pick, and I've got them taking Dyson Sharp. So I've been very vocal about my. I guess I don't rate Sharp as much as others. I think St Kilda would still take him. I'd probably still take Sam Grill over him, but Sharp does kind of make sense for the list management team to kind of identify a player who wins clearance, ready-made, contested possession monster. And then I guess with Matt Rao winning the Brownlow on Monday, it kind of highlights the importance of those inside balls, and I think Sharp is quite a similar type. He probably doesn't have the ball use, but he does have the scoreboard impact side of things. I compared his stats to Rao's under 18 stats. I think Rao averaged around 24 to 25 disposals in the under 18s champs, and Sharp obviously averaged like 27 plus and 1.3 goals, whereas Rao had 0.8 goals per game. So I think Rao is probably, at this age, was probably the better ball user. Sharp, better goal kicker. So I think the Saints would take him, even though his stealing isn't that high. I think if you are confident in Wanganeen, Millera, and Philippone developing into the A-grade stars that they kind of project to be, then I think Sharp wouldn't be too bad of a pick. But yeah, Hawthorn follow this pick, and I've got them taking Sam Grill. So Grill, a lot of Butters comparisons, and I definitely think he's got those traits, electric speed. He's a very fast player who has that mix of agility. He probably starts at half-back at AFL level and eventually graduates into the midfield. He doesn't really have the kicking of Zach Butters, which is probably why he slid down a little bit. Butters obviously is really adept at hitting those inside 45 kicks, and Grill hasn't really shown that. He's still a decent kick, but not really that elite change of angles kick, which I think should be very valued in the modern game. So obviously that can be developed, but yeah, that's why I have him sliding to Hawthorn for now. And then Port Adelaide are on the board with the pick they traded in for. I think I've got them bidding on Harry Dean. So I think Port could do with the key defender, or young up-and-coming key defender, to, I guess, be the successor to the likes of Aaliyah, etc. But obviously Carlson have first access to Dean, so they match that bid. And Port Adelaide follow that up with the selection of Jevan Philippou. So I'm pretty sure they're very heavily interested in Philippou, South Australian, and this is about his range. So I think Port Adelaide would trade into this part of the draft purely with their eye on Philippou, and in the hope of that he slides to this point, and I think he does. So obviously a very high upside player, decathlete with all the athletic attributes in the world, except maybe the height. He's around 6 foot, which is still pretty good size. But yeah, I think especially if Butters leaves next year, Philippou wouldn't be too bad of a I guess replacement for Butters going forward. Obviously it's a very high risk, high reward play, so no guarantee that he can fill Butters' shoes, but similar types of players, and if you can follow the kind of same development line as Butters did, then I think Philippou can be an absolute superstar of the competition. I've then got the Swans taking Aiden Schubert, so key forward, who can also play through the ruck a little bit. He's really good at leading up, overhead as well, strong overhead. He's got a really nice set shot as well, and I think with Logan McDonald's body kind of letting him down recently, and Joel Amadi isn't really that A-grade star. He's more of a kind of good to have key forward. I think Schubert projects to become a player who can be the focal point of a forward 50. So I've got the Swans taking him. Bulldogs are up next, and I've got them taking Lockie Doverston. So Doverston had a really good grand final, really nice finish to the year in the final series in the CTL. The Bulldogs are obviously a pretty stacked team. I think they'd love to have Xavier Taylor, but he's obviously gone at this point. But I think their small forward line probably needs a bit more depth. So Doverston, I think, would provide a really nice pairing, or I guess trio with Riley West and Cody Waitman when he's fit. So that would be such a dynamic trio of small forwards. Dovison obviously has a lot of Nick Watson traits, can kick goals from anywhere. I guess small in stature, but really electric at ground level. So I think it complements the Bulldogs forward line really well, especially since they already have so many good tools. Then I've got the Dockers taking Sam Cumming. So he slid a little bit because of that shoulder injury sustained about a month ago. But I think Dockers would probably just be looking to take best available. And like Murphy Reed last year, I feel like Sam Cumming is a bit of a slider who could definitely, be a player that wins the Rising Star next year. If he gets the full fitness, I think he definitely has that upside. But I've got the other clubs ahead of this point, just taking players that I guess suit their needs and profile a bit better. But yeah, Cumming, Ihini type player who can start forward, go through the midfield as well. He's got a really nice kick, even though his technique is a bit suspect. But here's the scoreboard, really good overhead for a player of his size, around 6'1". So I think he complements Freo really well. They don't really have kind of a pseudo third, fourth forward who can mark overhead. So I guess Shai Bolton is kind of that player. But if you can get Cumming in and then have Bolton as more of a crummer who can move to the midfield, then I think that can only benefit the Freo side. Up next, I have the Giants taking Mitch Marsh. So he's slid a little bit, probably not because of himself, but just because other players have overtaken him and probably suit the clubs above him a bit more. But they obviously have Stringer at the moment. I think that's the role Marsh could probably fill in as a player who is good at ground level, good overhead, really damaging when he has the ball. Like whenever he has the ball, he turns it into scores, whether that's himself or passing it off to a teammate. The Giants obviously already have Aaron Cadman as that kind of focal point up forward. So I think to get some guys who can partner him and also kind of, I guess, play roles that are higher up the ground to allow Cadman to play as that stay at home forward who takes contested marks. I think Marsh is the player who could be that long-term partner. I've got the Demons up next, and I've got them bidding on Essendon's Adam Swade, so they obviously matched that bid. This is a bit earlier than I had it last month, but I probably just didn't rate Swade as much as I probably should have a month ago, so I've got him a bit higher up. I think he suits the Demons as well. I think he's a creative forward half midfielder who would really benefit Melbourne's ball use go inside 50, but obviously the Bombers matched that bid, so I've got the Demons following that up with Noah Hibbins-Hargraves, who is more of an outside player, but he obviously has the X factor up forward, and I think the Demons could do with a bit more spark, especially because they rely really hard on Cozzy Pickett to, I guess, provide that X factor up forward. I think Hibbins-Hargraves takes a bit of pressure off him, and I guess it can provide a two-man punch, I guess, with one playing midfield, one playing up forward. So Hibbins-Hargraves obviously had that 5-goal performance a month or so ago, which really stamped his authority on, I guess, the top 20-ish of the draft. I think if you develop him properly, if he can eventually play through the midfield, then he's one of those really classy ball users who can break games open if he gets like a few clearances in a row, and he can really change the game, put it on its head. So those types of game winners, I think the Demons could really do with more of. The Eagles are back on the board, and I've got them bidding on Sydney's Max King. So he's been pretty inconsistent, but he has a lot of talent. If he pulls it together, I think he can definitely be a top 5 to 10 player from this year's draft. So he slid out a little bit more just because of inconsistency, and I guess maybe Sydney are trying to hide him or something. But I think the Eagles wouldn't mind bidding on him here. But the Swans matched that, and the Eagles follow that up with a pick of Harley Barker. So Barker's obviously sustained that ACL injury a few months ago. Probably won't be ready by pre-season, but at pick 22, I think Barker offers a lot of value. He is one of the fastest players in this pool. He's a good size at around 187, 188. Modern day winger who can also play through the midfield. I think if he can eventually develop that midfield craft, he becomes an absolutely elite player who breaks the lines, uses the ball quite well, and he is a player who wows you when he's on song. So I think the Eagles could do with a few more, I guess, big-bodied athletic types like Barker, who can play to the midfield, to complement Harley. And then obviously they have Dersmer as well coming in, and then obviously Hewitt too. So yeah, I think Barker complements that side really well. And the last pick of the first round, I've got the Cats taking Archie Ludovic. PCL injury early in the season, a couple months ago, so he's really slid out. He was a top 10 prospect coming into the year and was kind of living up to that title early in the season, but a bit of a quiet chance, and then obviously injury. This could honestly be quite early for him. He could honestly slide out to 30-ish as well because of the injury. So some club is going to get an absolute bargain, and Geelong, I think, is the type of team to take a punt on an injured player who has a lot of upside. Ludovic is around 197 centimeters, so he's quite tall. He's really good below his knees, and he's good overhead and on the lead. So he has all the attributes to become a really good tall forward going forward. He's got a nice set shot as well. So build his body up, get him fit again. I think he complements Shannon Neal really well going forward. So that concludes the first round of the mock draft. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'm still not really sure if I'm actually going to do a part 2 yet, but I guess if you guys want to see it, I will do it. So if we can get maybe 100 likes on this video, I'll do it as part 2. But yeah, I've got a lot of workload at the moment, so I'm not really sure if I want to do it. I've got the picks in front of me, but like editing the video, recording it as well, I'll probably think about that a bit later. So I can't promise this part 2, but if you guys show your love in the comments and the likes, then I guess I'll get it out for you guys as soon as I can. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure to leave a like on the video. Comment your thoughts on your club's picks, whether you guys agree or disagree. I like engaging with the comments when you guys provide your feedback, and I'll make necessary adjustments in the next in the October version, I guess. So yeah, make sure to leave your comment, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next video.